Hello YouTube, hope everyone's doing well. Today we are going to talk about audio compression, and some people may be confused with compression or have some misunderstandings of what it is or how you can use it to your benefit, and it's a great thing. So we're going to go over some of the details right now in a Pro Tools session. So I'm going to pull that up. Essentially, what is compression? Compression is a tool used by engineers to control dynamic range. Essentially, if we zoomed in on this waveform, hopefully you can see my cursor here. Compression is at a certain ratio. You set a threshold that is going to knock down the peaks of these hits. So here we got a kick drum, and if we were to compress this kick drum track, we would be initially squashing down the top of the waveform, and that's how we're controlling the dynamic range at a certain threshold. And then in a total we bring up the waveform. So you're squashing down the top and then you bring it up as a whole. So essentially you're making the quieter parts louder, and depending on your attack and release time, it's going to change what's louder. If you have a quick attack time and a slow release time, you'll be bringing up the whole waveform. If you have a fast release time and a fast attack time, you'll only really be squashing the start of the waveform. So it'll make more sense once we get into some examples here. So this is a track we recorded a band called the Harmonic Cosmonauts. They're a local band. I wrote them down right here. Hopefully you can see that. They're Harmonic Cosmonauts. This is a song called Mobius Strip. They're a local band here in Vancouver, Canada, so check them out if you enjoy this track. I sure do. This is the part of the track. Let's take a listen. So they're rocking there. It's sounding pretty good. Levels are sounding pretty good, but say you wanted to add a little more punch to the kick drum. Well, we could use some compression. So let's grab a compressor here on our kick drum track. Let's use, for an example, let's use the R compressor. R compressor standing for Renaissance Compressor by Waves. So here we have an R compressor on our kick drum track. So let's see what this looks like. If you have no idea what a compressor looks like, what any of these buttons do, that's okay. We're going to have that all sorted out by the end of the day here. So when you play your track, you see how you have level on your threshold and you have level on your gain. So this right side, all compressors are pretty much the exact same thing, just look a little different. So on the right side here is our gain, on the left side is our threshold. And say we play this track, I'm going to pull down the threshold. First I'll move this ratio to, say, a ratio of 4:1. You know, I mean, people compress at higher ratios. I don't. You know, I mean, if you're going to about 10:1, you're actually limiting, and that's a whole other tool for another cause. I usually go from 4:1 to 2:1 to 1:1. Depending on the situation. We'll use 4:1 here to give you a good example of what's going on. So I'm going to pull down this threshold. You're going to see here that there's going to be some attenuation of our signal by a certain amount. This is dB that's being measured right here. And that means that the peak is being attenuated down by this much dB. And then we're going to use this level over here to make up that gain that we lose. I don't usually give it more gain than the amount of dB that's being attenuated. I've heard of some engineers doing that. I don't really like the way it sounds. In the analog world, you can get away with that, and I think it sounds a lot better because you're pushing tubes and you're pushing real analog gear, not digital software. Another thing you'll see here is the attack and release time. This is very important in compression. For drum hits, a good example would be a quick attack time and a quick release time, because you only have a small amount of signal that you're trying to compress. So this is all in milliseconds, and it seems short, but you need to be working in milliseconds here, and you need to be using your ears, because sometimes you'll feel and hear compression pumping. It's the compression will be pumping at a non-musical note value. Like you'll be wanting the kick drum to drive, and the compression will be getting in the way of your groove. Hard to explain exactly what that is, but with that experience you'll start to hear that, and you want to avoid compression pumping at all costs. So let's just start with a quick attack time and a decently quick release time on these kick drum hits, and see how it sounds. So I'm going to pull down this threshold. We're going to be attenuating by a certain amount of dB. We're going to make up that gain, and we'll talk to you in a second. So we're getting close to about 3 dB of attenuation there. 3.5 actually, it's telling me. So let's, you can hear that we're losing a bit of the kick drum punch as the signal is being squashed down, but now we're going to remake that gain here with the makeup gain, and we'll see how that sounds. Now once you have your waveform attenuated and you've had your makeup gain and you're decently happy with the attack time and how it's sounding, you want to be able to A-B that sound with what you did before. You don't want to make the recording worse than it already was, obviously. So I like to listen to maybe a bar or 2 bars and then hit this bypass button, and you can A-B pre-compression and post-compression. And obviously you're looking for a better sound post-compression. Now let your ears be the judge. You don't want to be staring at these waveforms and staring at the numbers. Everyone can get caught up in these numbers, but our ears are the ultimate tell-all here. So I'm going to use my ears, and let's see how it sounds. So for me, that's really bringing the kick out. It may only be a dB or 2, but in a mix of, especially a rock song like this, where there's tons of tracks here, as you can see, that extra punch is going to drive your song that much more, and hopefully have the listener enjoy it that much more as well. If you have any more questions on compression or attack and release time, anything like that, post in the comments, and I'll get back to you, and looking forward to many more videos. Have a good night. Bye.